Ted, wow. We should take that on the road. Let's hear it again, though, for Senator Ted O'Brien. He is doing a fantastic job representing the people of Rochester in the state Senate, and we need to make sure that he returns to Albany, along with Assemblymember Bronson, along with Majority Leader Joe Morelle. A round of applause for all your great Rochester leaders in the state legislature. And it is an absolute pleasure to join you here in beautiful Western New York, and Nathan, Norm, Andrew, the entire board, the dinner committee, Evelyn, Bailey. That was such a powerful introduction and acceptance. Stephen Wallem, you're doing a terrific job. Ted had said to me while I was out here that my husband and I should get a garbage plate from Nick Tahoe's. I'm like, Ted, I'm gay, but we're going tomorrow. That just after Wegmans. Wegmans. Religion or cult? I'm still debating the two. We definitely have to get Wegmans in Manhattan. But seriously, I want to thank Senator O'Brien for his kind words and the Pride Agenda for inviting me here. It's such an honor. And Ted mentioned my husband, David, who has taken my daughter, Sylvia, upstairs for her sleep tonight. But Sylvia, who's 3 years old, like I'm sure Ted remembers when his daughter was 3, likes princesses. And she came down for the cocktail hour. And the whole night she was going, Daddy, there's a princess, there's a princess, there's a princess. I told her there were a few queens here as well. But I gotta say, Miss Kasha Davis, she fell in love with you. Where is Kasha Davis? Yeah. Sylvia will be in touch. So it's my first term in the state Senate, and Albany is a strange place, right, Ted? I mean, colleagues under indictment, wiretaps, federal investigations, the public corruption, the greed, peddling political influence by lobbyists. It's pretty bad. And every day there seems to be a new headline about Albany corruption. Let me read you a few that I pulled from a New York newspaper. A few headlines. The king of the lobbyists. How the lobby king contracts to kill bills with cash. Dealing with legislators as chattel to be purchased. Sounds familiar. These headlines actually came about because of the efforts of an investigative reporter who set out to expose a corrupt Albany lobbyist. And the date of the headline, which is interesting, April 1st, 1888. The reporter's name was Nellie Bly. The newspaper was the New York World. So needless to say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And New York has had a long and sad and sordid tradition of political corruption and pay-to-play. In fact, the term lobbyist, if you don't know this, is said to have originated in the 1830s in the lobby of the New York State Senate, where agents representing big business interests waited long hours and sat on these green, tufted leather couches for a chance to buttonhole a lobbyist. But it's been said that the current ethical environment is so toxic and corrupt in Albany that when they call the roll, legislators don't know whether to say present or not guilty. And it's really the actions of a few that make the rest of us look so bad. But I don't think it should discourage us. Really, it should spur us into action. And I'm optimistic that we're on the path. As Winston Churchill once said, a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So while Albany's reputation for corruption persists and seems worse than ever, this optimist sees an opportunity. We can pass comprehensive campaign finance reform and limit campaign expenditures and contribution amounts to cut down on the pay-to-play culture in Albany. You shouldn't be able to contribute to the governor of New York 10 times the amount that you can contribute to the president. It's not right. We can limit outside income and ban legislators from moonlighting on the job. Legislators should be working full-time for you, their constituents, not their clients who want to get bills passed in Albany. And if you're caught with your hand in the till, you should get the book thrown at you. And Senator O'Brien has legislation to that effect. Penalties need to be increased, and you should forfeit your government pension, no exceptions. I'm telling you, Albany seems like at times a different world than Manhattan. I'm from the heart of Greenwich Village. My district comprises some of what you might call iconic landmarks in Manhattan: the Empire State Building, Times Square, the New York Public Library, Grand Central Station, Lincoln Center. No Wegmans, but working on that. My district also includes the Stonewall Inn. And we all know the site of the rebellion at Stonewall, which occurred 45 years ago this year, on the night of Friday, June 26, 1969, launching the modern LGBT rights movement. This is the reason why we're all here tonight. So let's never forget that evening and the sacrifices made by those who came before us. And of course, here in the Rochester area, you have an equally proud history, being at the forefront of civil rights. From Rochester's history as the home to prominent abolitionists like Frederick Douglass and the Underground Railroad, to Seneca Falls and the convention that launched the campaign for women's suffrage and the home of Susan B. Anthony. Who can forget President Obama's inaugural address last year when he linked our communities, one in Manhattan and one in Rochester, to the wider struggle for equality and justice for all people. And it's worth reciting what the president said. He said, "We, the people, declare today the most evident of truths, that all of us are created equal. That is the star that guides us still, just as it guided our forebears through Seneca Falls and Selma and Stonewall." Seneca Falls and Selma and Stonewall. All of us are created equal. The star that guides us still. And that's the reason why we're all here tonight. Now, our communities have had a lot of success in the last decade. We've achieved so much thanks to the work of the Pride Agenda, Governor Cuomo, and so many committed public servants, many of them here tonight. 3 years ago, New York became one of the first and the largest state in the country to pass legislation recognizing marriage equality. That landmark bill recognizing our freedom to marry would have not been signed into law without the work of the Empire State Pride Agenda. Let's be clear about that. But it's this success for some of us that has brought into sharp and painful relief the inequality that exists for others in our community. As we celebrate the 3rd anniversary of marriage equality, we recognize that our work here, the work of the Pride Agenda, is far from done. Our work isn't done until every transgender person in the state of New York is held to the same truth as the rest of us, that all of us are created equal. It is a scandal. It is a scandal. A shame, an embarrassment, a shanda, as my Jewish grandmother would say, that almost 24,000 transgender New Yorkers can lose their apartment, lose their job, more than that, lose their dignity simply because of who they are. Just this week, Maryland became the 18th state to ban discrimination against transgender people. Our work is not done until New York joins those 18 states in the District of Columbia in providing basic human right protections for all of our citizens, all of our citizens. Our work isn't done until we protect our kids, our LGBT youth, the most vulnerable among us, from homelessness, HIV, drug addiction. Our work isn't done until we protect our kids from quack therapists licensed by the state of New York, who actually try to change a kid's sexual orientation from gay to straight or their gender identity. Just 2 days ago, with the help of the Pride Agenda, I held a public forum in New York City on my bill that would ban this practice. And as Nathan recounted, we heard harrowing stories from this so-called therapy. The 16-year-old who was told by his therapist to limit his interactions with women. He didn't speak to his mom or his sister for 3 years, and they lived in the same house. A licensed therapist recommended that? Another was forced to watch pornography and shocked repeatedly with electrodes attached to his privates. Our work isn't done until we ban these quacks, deceiving parents and subjecting our sons and daughters to torture, to child abuse. We need a law that pulls the licenses of therapists who practice gay conversion therapy in New York State, and we're working on that. Our work isn't done until we recognize and protect our LGBT families in New York. And I mentioned my 3-year-old daughter, who I hope is sleeping upstairs. If recent practice is any indication, she's not. My husband David and I had her through a gestational surrogate. And this means, a gestational surrogate, this means that we fertilized the egg of a donor with our sperm. I can say sperm, right? I just got to hand it to the signers. You've done a terrific job tonight. Absolutely. Coming to an event like this could be called an occupational hazard. And we fertilized the egg and used a surrogate, not genetically connected to us or our child, to carry our child and bring her safely into this world. You know, an estimated 1,600 kids are born each year throughout the country with the use of a surrogate. 1,600. But not in New York. It's illegal here. You're actually potentially subject to criminal penalties. My husband and I had to fly across country to California numerous times to have our daughter, which, by the way, proves the point that in the gay and lesbian world, there is no such thing as an unwanted or unintended pregnancy. Our work is not done until we make surrogacy safe and legal, so LGBT New Yorkers, as well as straight New Yorkers who might have trouble having kids, can be allowed to take advantage of the medical wonders available and create families like mine and have them protected by the laws of our state. As a member of our community, a senator, a husband, a father, a legislative partner of the Pride Agenda in Albany, a New Yorker, I know more than ever that our work isn't done. We have so much more to do, much more work to pursue, to fight, to win the most evident of truths, that all of us are created equal. All of us are created equal. All of us are created equal, and that is the star that guides us still. Thank you so much. It's been a great evening. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.